Hello, everyone. Today we are very pleased to have with us Ursula Mueller, who is a college ESL teacher in Montreal, Canada.
Hi, Ursula.
We're happy.
Hi.
We're happy to have you, Ursula.
We are. It's great to have you with us today. Ursula, please tell us a little bit about your background for the people who perhaps don't know you well.
Okay, so I was born in Montreal, and so all my education was in this city. I went to French school until Cégep, and then switched to the English system. I have a BA in journalism, so my first degree is in journalism. So this is something that I've actually found very, very helpful for ESL. After the degree in journalism, I did a diploma in education. It was a graduate diploma in education so that I would be qualified to teach English second language at the elementary and high school level. And I ended up teaching both French and English as a second language to grades 9 and 11. And then I did a master's in educational studies. So it's a Master of Arts. Focusing a lot on young adult learners, because I realized that that's where my career was going to be going. And I've been at Cégep de Saint-Laurent now for 25 years.
Fantastic. And with a name like Mueller, you must speak another language.
Yes, I do. Yes. So both my parents are from Germany, and I do speak German. And I have also been teaching in our long program, Introduction to Linguistics and Translation.
At Saint Laurent.
At
So
Saint Laurent.
tell us a little about what you actually do daily at the college, and give us that sense of your routine at the college.
The routine in the college. I really do like to teach a variety of courses. And I tend to, I like to switch between the very lowest levels of English and the highest. I find it just keeps it much more interesting for me. I also, and with those courses in the long program, so I prefer having more preparations for courses, to give courses that interest me. And if new textbooks come out, I like to give them a try. I also am involved in organizing trips to Germany and working on the course plans for accredited German courses that we give in Germany, or that we're planning to give in Germany. So that's the other thing that I do on a daily basis.
Busy lady.
Yes. There is also the position that I have as the representative of the college ESL teachers. And this is basically an elected position to represent the college ESL teachers at the ministry. So mostly the Comité de Formation Générale, although, the Comité Conseil de la Formation Générale, although it's not, this committee is not really as active as it should be. There have been a lot of changes at the ministries, at the Ministry of Higher Education. So the important thing, though, is that the ESL English teachers continue to be extremely well organized and coordinated, in that we elect a subcommittee every few years, even though this subcommittee no longer officially exists as far as the ministry is concerned, but we continue to have one within our group, which really allows us to coordinate everyone and inform everyone as to what's going on across the province in our discipline.
So in a nutshell, the mission, what's the mission of this?
Of the subcommittee?
Yes.
Yes. So the mission of the subcommittee is really to link all of our teachers. We find ourselves, it's an interesting situation, because we have people all over the province who are giving exactly the same courses. I can meet someone from a very small cégep in a region who has my job, who has exactly the same job I have. And I find that it is extremely important in terms of influencing the ministry of the importance of English second language, of the importance of English courses that are tailored to the specific needs of the students depending on what program they are in. Another one of our very important projects is ensuring equity across the province so that a 100 level course in downtown Montreal would be the same course as a 100 course, the same credit as a 100 course given in the regions. That somebody who is considered bilingual in the regions would have the same level of bilingualism if he has the same credit as somebody from the Montreal region. On our subcommittee, and of which Nick is actually one of the members, we have really made an effort to always include professors from very many different kinds of cégeps. So we have representatives from large urban cégeps, from small urban cégeps, from smaller cégeps in the region, from the Quebec City cégeps, the Montreal cégeps, the suburban cégeps. So we really make an effort to try to represent some of the realities that differ from one cégep to the next. And this subcommittee, I mean, the work that is involved, there are times during the year where it's quite intense, depending on what the ministry is up to or about to do. And then there are other times where, we just make sure we get as many people as possible at the annual Rascals conference.
And have fun.
So perhaps I can ask you now, Ursula, about some of the activities, some of the dossiers, the projects that we work on in the subcommittee. Perhaps you can describe some of our priorities now that you've mentioned the overall goal of coordinating people. What are some of the topics that we're dealing with right now?
Okay. Well, I think the greatest, there are things that keep coming back. And one of them is the need for a proper placement exam. So we are, there are several cégeps that are still using an online placement exam, Saint-Laurent being one of them. There have been requests with the in order to have it updated and improved. There are other cégeps, including yours, that are working on other strategies and other placement tests. But I think the goal for provincial coordination is really, in order to ensure equity and fairness, we need the same placement test. I think if we're not using the same placement test, somebody in one cégep may believe, oh, this is definitely a 103, but it may not be a 103 in my cégep. And I think it's very important that that be fair. It's important for the students, and it's important for us in terms of when we are making changes to the course plans through the ministry, when we are discussing levels, when the publishers are coming out with books, we all have to understand what those different levels are. The other important point is the need for these courses, either mise à niveau or renforcement. So one of the things that we have been able to accomplish, and this is the first semester that this has been available at our cégep, thanks to the work that the coordination committee did, the ministry did allow us to open up or to create the course plan for a cours de renforcement, which is a course designed for students who have passed secondary 5 but are still extremely weak. And these were the students, sometimes they were in high school 5-10 years ago and haven't spoken English in many years. And sometimes, for whatever reason, they managed to squeak through secondary 5. But we already, upon meeting them and following the placement test, upon meeting them the first time in that first semester, the teachers realize that they will definitely not be able to pass that lowest course that is available. So since the cours de renforcement existed for French mother tongue, we thought it was only fair that this non-credited cours de renforcement be offered to these students who are weaker and who would then give them the chance to be able to pass that first credited course.
Ursula, it seems important that CEGEP teachers stay on top of these things. How would you recommend teachers connect with you or stay in the loop on what you're doing?
We do have, the coordination committee does have a website. And this website is extremely important. Everything new is posted. There are links to all of the important files that we're working on, and Nick updates the website regularly. We do have professors do have the option to sign up for a newsletter as well, but it really is the responsibility of the CEGEPs to inform their teachers that this is available and that they can sign up for the newsletter, which will sometimes let them know that there's something new online, but they can also check that website on a regular basis, or if there's information that they've forgotten about, they're able to check that as well. So there's a lot of information on there. Also for those teachers who are not able to go to the annual conference, it really is a way where you can find out what is going on. And we have to remember that there are a lot of changes within every department. Every single CEGEP has new teachers virtually every semester. People who get hired, as we know, they 2 days sometimes before the class starts, because the administrations are put in a position where they can't really open a course until they're absolutely sure that they have enough students. So it's very, very important that these teachers have this information.
We'll want to integrate the website, the URL, into this video. I'm sure Nick will do that.
Okay.
We'll add it at the bottom. Okay. All right. I don't know if there's anything else you'd like to say about the activities of the ESL subcommittee. Perhaps, I don't know if we've discussed the B block project that Dan was championing. There are other things perhaps. So if you'd like.
Yeah, I can go on and on.
Well,
no, I think one of the biggest issues, I think very few people know that there is no longer any budget for these positions. So there used to be, for the coordinator, there was a course release, there was a budget for some photocopies, there was an annual guaranteed general assembly, and these are all things that have been eliminated. So one of the big goals, and that's another reason that one person cannot do it alone. I mean, since there is absolutely no course release, if there is no subcommittee and there are not more people who are willing to contribute some time, it's impossible. So as far as the B block goes, again, this is a project ideally, when we read the devis, so the original course plans that are published by the Ministry of Education, the second English course is supposed to be specific to the program, but we find more and more colleges, basically because of numbers and budgets, are grouping different programs together. And there's some groups that make sense. If you're putting the health science students together with the nursing students, that works very, very well in terms of creating an English for specific purposes course. But, you know, when we're throwing in engineering and architecture in there as well, it becomes more difficult. So one of the goals for the subcommittee also is to ensure that we have more material available so that we are able to tailor these courses to be more specific to the different fields.
Sorry.
What was that?
Excellent. So Ursula, what makes good teaching for you? How would you describe good pedagogy? If you could share your insights into pedagogy, we'd appreciate that.
Okay, so I think the most important thing, and I try to do this for every class, I want the students to feel that walking out of the class, that they have learned something, I want them to feel good about themselves. I want them to feel like they have connected with other people in the class. I want them to feel like they have even surprised themselves by communicating in English, by using vocabulary. And I repeat this often in the class. I always say, I don't want you to say something that you could have said yesterday. I want you to say something that you did not say yesterday or last week or last summer. And I do this in different ways, even just putting something as simple as putting vocabulary on the board and asking them to integrate it into their language. The other thing that I found is I like to spend time preparing courses, and I always have very detailed plans for the day, but teaching is art. And sometimes I'll have this beautiful course ready, but if something is not working, I drop it. I let it go. And I may try again after, because sometimes the problem is it needs the group. So I might test it again on somebody else, another group. Or if it's something that's worked for 20 years, then I know for sure it's not me, but it's the group. And at the same time, if something is going extremely well, even if it's taking a completely different direction, I let it go. Because and obviously not if they're just repeating the same things over and over again, but if it's really this teachable moment where you just see everything, those glorious moments I think that teachers live for, when that's going, I just let it go. And I think having that ability to improvise and developing that ability to improvise, because it is something that one can develop and one can work on, is extremely important.
Thinking on your feet.
Yeah, sorry?
Thinking on your feet.
Well, absolutely. Thinking on your feet, but you still need that skeleton, right? You need that plan, because there is that material that you have to get through. And there is that material that is more difficult, that you can't abandon. You obviously have to stick with it. But you need to intersperse it with other things. And I think that's what I love. I mean, that's one of the things that I love about teaching. And it's one of the things that's wonderful about seeing the students for 2.5 hours. Because you're really you can really take control of the activities and of the routine and how it's going.
Before, Ursula, you mentioned new teachers come into the system all the time, and even older teachers teaching new courses. So what advice would you give to novice teachers?
I think what I wish somebody had told me was you have to find a way that works with your personality. And I think we often make the mistake, because we've all had teachers that teach differently, and we've loved them for different reasons, and we've learned for different reasons. And I think and sometimes the tendency is, oh, I'm going to teach the way this person taught because it worked so well for me. But if it doesn't work with your own personality, then you're never going to feel very comfortable. You'll feel like you're acting. You won't feel like you're a facilitator and an educator, and that goal of students communicating with you as a human being, students communicating with one another, students looking forward to coming to class, because they're able to see these other students that they've had interesting discussions with. And that's the advantage we have in second language. We can set up situations where they can make new friends from different programs, and we have that tremendous advantage, and they can feel, you know, the weakest student can feel so, you know, oh my God, here I am speaking English, and I'm able to say, even at the end of the class, I like to say goodbye to all of my students, see you next week, and I can just see some of the students who are, you know, recent immigrants sometimes, who are so happy to say, oh, goodbye, see you next week, have a nice weekend, you know, and you can just see that even those simple lines, they're really enjoying being that other bilingual person, you know, that they can be at least once a week with me.
That's excellent.
So I think
excellent.
That's very, very important to me. Yeah.
Right.
Sorry, and just with young teachers as well, sometimes you have to experiment. You know, you discover what it is that works for your personality, and you can't be afraid of doing that at the beginning. But once you feel that and you find that perfect class, then you know where you have to go.
That perfect class.
Yeah, exactly. And we all get it.
Nick, it's up to you now.
Well, we're coming to the end now, Ursula, so perhaps you could just give us a few takeaways for the teachers watching. What can they do? What should they know? What do you want to leave us with?
Okay, so I guess the three most important things, 3 or 4. I mean, the most important thing is stay in touch with motivated colleagues, whether they be at your CEGEP, and or if you meet them at conferences, if you go on the website, if you go on the Facebook page for CEGEP ESL teachers, when people are asking questions and answering questions, it's extremely helpful and motivating. And we all, because in a way we are alone in our classroom. And on the one hand, it's nice, you know, I'm the queen in my classroom, but sometimes it's lonely and you need to have access to other people, you know, just to discuss how they've solved certain problems. So staying in touch with colleagues is important. Finding your voice as a teacher is important. Being organized, stay organized. When you start teaching, open up files, take notes of things that worked and didn't work, so you're not reinventing the things that did work or rewriting something because you lost the first version. Use technology in order to simplify your life. If students can do repetitive grammatical exercises online where they get immediate feedback, use that. You don't need to correct it. The students are more likely to do the exercises than writing out the answers in a book. And the ones who have mastered the grammatical point are able to get through those exercises more quickly. And that's fine. That's how it should be. And I guess that's all I have to say.
Voila. Wonderful. I enjoyed the conversation. Thank you for joining us, Ursula.
Great. Thank you both.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
so much, Ursula. Bye-bye.
Bye.